April here on Natural Witchery with animals going crazy in the background. I've got a cat trying to climb up on me. And today I want to talk to you about a common mistake that I think seasoned practitioners do and brand new magical practitioners make when they are setting out to do something magical. I'm gonna take these lilac flowers in, and I'm going to pull them off, and then I'm going to infuse an oil with something that I saw online. I have no idea if it's going to work, but it's worth a try. And these smell so good. Just gonna pull these off as I talk to you. I think that they're best when they're like this. Hopefully you can see when they're just about to open like this. I'm gonna take all of these. I'm not gonna wash them because I don't want to put, oh look, I've got a little traveler with me. Take a moment here and put him outside. All right, there's something incredibly meditative about just pulling flowers off. Working with herbs in any way is incredibly meditative. So yeah, this thing that we do, and I think we all do it. We don't just do it in our magical practice, we do it in lots of areas of our life. I know I do. And it's perfection paralysis. Perfection paralysis. How many of you get that, where you're so worried about getting it right that you start focusing on other things, other than actually doing the magic, other than releasing your magic, other than letting it naturally flow. And so, you can do this if you're a new practitioner or an old practitioner. I think especially new practitioners will, read up on spells or on magic and get so caught up in the particulars. And I think that's a trap for all of us. Whenever we go to do something new, it's just a little clumsy. And, for those of you who've been, practicing weaving the liminal for a long time, even you should be at points where you are doing something new and it feels uncomfortable. It just feels different. And, I have a tendency to lose myself in the preparation. Like, I'm going to prep, or I'm going to read up, and I need more correspondences, or I'm just not sure. And the truth is, I think none of us really like to not be very good at something. The name of this channel is Natural Witchery, and so I draw a lot of my conclusions, a lot of my thoughts from what's naturally going on the farm here. And so, case in point, I decided, years ago, I wanted to get bees. And it didn't happen. And then just recently, I don't really know, I was trying to think back on what sparked this, but I thought, what about the idea of getting bees? And I posed this to my husband, and he was so sweet. He said, yeah, I'd love that idea. Let's do it. Well, I went online and I found out that I was at the tail end of when I could get bees. And basically I was going to have about a week and a half to get all prepared to have bees. And now I had been watching some bee videos, but it was like, whoa, if I don't do this now, then it's not going to happen until next year. It's just not going to happen, because that's just the way it goes with getting bees. You need to do it at a certain time. So that brings me to kind of thought number one, is that sometimes there's a real magic to impetus. Like, I had the impetus to get the bees. I went online, there they were. It was the last bit of time that I could get them, and everything was just lining up. And I could have gone into, wait a minute, I don't know enough about bees. I don't really know what I'm doing. I don't know. It wasn't cheap. It was an investment for the farm for us to get our own beehive. But I just felt like there was a magic in the timing because my heart was so in it. And I think that's an important thing. Like sometimes we decide we're ready to create some magic or something comes up and it should be natural. That's my whole thing. Natural witchery. Man, my hands are getting sticky from the nectar in these. It's like smells really, really good in here. Yeah, there's a magic in, letting all of the natural synchronicities come together, following the flow, letting the tingles just gathering the sparkles, seeing them all line up for you. Like that's a part of the joy too. And so I would say, don't hold back with perfection paralysis because you're waiting for the absolute perfect time. Maybe that time is right now. Sometimes you just have that wave and it comes and you got to take it. Now, the other thing about perfection paralysis that I do sometimes is like, oh, I've got to have all this stuff, right? So like maybe you're thinking, oh, everything's good, but I don't have a red candle. And so you decide maybe I just won't do it because I don't have a red candle. And then you miss that moment. Do you really need a red candle? Is that really what makes something magical? I think that we can get caught up in the trappings instead of just moving forward with what we know that we're feeling in our hearts. It takes a little bit of getting out of our heads and into our hearts. And I think sometimes we shield ourselves from our own magic. We prevent ourselves of that perfection paralysis by staying in the mind. And in the mind, you can build something up to where it is so big that it is insurmountable. Like, I just can't do it. It's so big. I just can't. I need all of these things. If I don't have all of these things, it's not going to happen. There comes a point where, especially if you're like a newbie and you've been reading up on everything, where you just got to do it. You just got to be like, okay, I'm going to actually try this. And, weaving the liminal magical practice, natural witchery, it's like a muscle that you develop. And even weightlifters, like if you're a seasoned practitioner who, have been doing this for years, even you can still add more muscle mass, So at first when we start out, we don't have any muscle memory. If you're just new to working out, you don't know how to work out correctly, and you got to get out there. If you're going to the gym, if you've ever been to a gym, I hate gyms. If you've ever been to a gym, it's kind of awkward. You don't know how to use the machines. Case in point, me with my bees, like there comes a point where you just got to do it. You got to take the plunge. And so, here I am. It's bee installation day, and I have to say I am so nervous and excited. I have a ton of head knowledge and I have no skill. First day getting my bees. And, at this point, it's all theory. Like I've not worked with a beekeeper. I'm just here. I pick up my bees. I've been watching YouTube videos. I've got 100 YouTube videos. I've got my beekeeper's book. I've got all this, but it's all theory. I don't have any skill at this point at all. And I just have to do it. I've got to get in there. I'm so nervous at this point. I was so nervous. I'm sure that didn't help. And of course the bees are like angry. You're like moving their home. I'm out there totally romanticizing this. I get on my knees. I welcome them. I speak a blessing. I speak my intent, and the bees are just making this very angry noise. So I quickly rush on to moving them to their home. My point to all this is that you just got to do it. At some point, you got to step up. You've got to just decide, I'm going to do this. I'm going to find my way. I'm going to gain skill as I move along. And in the meantime, I don't have to know it all. I can move forward with this and know that it will be an unfolding experience where I learn and grow. And I think natural magic is like that. I think the more you dive in and trust, this kind of says a red candle, but I'm not feeling a red candle, or I don't have a red candle, but now's the time. I know now is the time, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to step up. So that brings me to another thing, is like overcomplicating things. I think that we have a way of overcomplicating things. And these are excuses because we're afraid. We're afraid that we're not enough, or at least that's my excuse. I'm afraid that I'm not enough. What if I fail? What if it doesn't work? There are going to be things that don't work. Case in point with bees. I mean, bees are not easy. They are, things can go wrong. And that's the reality of it. And I'm not trying to scare you, but I think that perfection paralysis can keep us from experiencing life and can keep us from gaining the skill. There has to be a first for everything. If you're an older practitioner, I encourage you to seek out some firsts, to trust yourself, to trust your magic, and to go in some direction that challenges you and makes you feel the flutters in your stomach. I think there's a magic in that first too. I think there's a real... If you're older, you probably look back on your life and think, wow, I really have a lot of protected moments. I know I do. I was out on the road. I look back on some of the things I did. Boy, they were dangerous. There are times I really could have gotten myself hurt, and there was just a protection because I was innocent. And so I think there's a lot of that. If your intention is good and your magic is for yourself, like it's not baneful magic. I'm not even going to get into baneful magic. Then I think get out there, spread your wings, learn to fly. Realize you're probably not going to be great at it in the beginning. Get over the perfection paralysis and start figuring out what works and what doesn't work for you. I'm going to figure out what works with the bees and what doesn't work. And in the end, I'm going to find that I've got a new relationship. I'm hoping to have a new familiar, but that's never going to happen if I don't get out there and do the work and, create relationship day after day. Maybe not day after day because I don't want to be bugged day after day, but week after week. And it's the same way with your natural witchery. Just like this here, I have no idea if this is really going to work. I'm kind of going on the fact that when I did my poplar buds, I cooked them in a crock pot, which is what I'm going to do with these. And keeping that at a medium heat, it helps the water to evaporate off. Because there was, the poplar buds were pretty green when I put them in, and I have not, knock on wood, have not had any rot. So I'm hoping this is going to work. Maybe it won't. It's okay, but I tried. Had a fun time trying. Had a fun time sitting here meditatively pulling these off, talking with you. Let me know, do you suffer from perfection paralysis? Do you ever get to where, you're busy in the research and you've been researching forever and you've been thinking about it forever and you're just not quite doing it? A good question is like, what am I holding myself back from? Is it okay to have partial success in this? Is it better to get out there and try? Is it better to have that moon ritual? Oops, I saw some green go in there. Is it better to have that moon ritual without the right candle and engage in practice, right? It's a practice. Practice means doing it, engaging in that practice, than to not do it at all. What am I losing out on by not spending a little time trusting myself and taking the adventure of my own natural magic? And by natural magic, I mean like you can get it out of books, but I mean if you get it out of a book and you go, that doesn't fit, then you just toss it. You go, that's not for me. You don't have to do it spot on. I'm talking about prosperity magic, personal cord cutting, stuff like that. Whatever it is you feel like you want to weave some magic into your life for. That special Beltane time. Everybody's doing this on Beltane, but you don't feel it. Don't do it. That's not your magic. That's not what's right for you. Trust yourself and trust your process and know that your process is going to evolve over time, but get away from perfection paralysis. Well, I've rambled, oh my gosh, for like 14 minutes. So I think that's enough. Let me know what you think. And I hope that as you move into your season of being, whatever season you're entering into right now, that it's filled with a sense of adventure and you're willing to risk trying. You're willing to risk doing it differently. You're willing to risk being different, and you're willing to trust yourself. Yeah, trust yourself. Blessed be. Are you guys ready? Are you watching it? Watch it. Go get it, Chad. Go. Gotta fake around.